I'm joined by Ben Jensen. Welcome, Ben. As Director of Education at the Grattan Institute, you have been producing a significant number of reports, one in particular around better teacher appraisal and feedback. Just explain to us what you see as being the key elements of an effective teacher appraisal and feedback approach.
The main element is all about constructive feedback based on a meaningful observation of a teacher's work that is connected to student learning. So really about getting information and developing teachers to continually improve student learning. That's really the crux of what it is.
Well, let me just explore some dimensions, because when people think about teacher appraisal and feedback, they think of multiple sources.
Yep.
Let me ask you explicitly a series. One, student achievement, student performance.
There's really two elements around that. One is the notion of, how are students progressing over time? And I think that has to be an underlying benchmark to everything you're doing.
Yes.
It matters how students are learning in your class.
Yes.
But we all know that the way teachers use student assessments is a crucial, perhaps a fundamental aspect of effective teaching. Identifying student learning, how do we shape teaching, how do we scaffold instruction to the next stage of learning. So it's really about improving that process, which I think is fundamental to effective teaching.
And peer observation?
Peer observation is perhaps the most important thing we have to get working in our schools. That notion of teachers in each other's classrooms providing support for each other to continually improve, not just teaching, but to continually improve student learning.
Let me make a distinction between peer observation and observation by others. Direct, internal, external.
It's really important that school principals, and I think leaders throughout the entire education system, are in there supporting teachers. So I would like to see the Secretary of Education in classrooms across Australia providing support for teachers on how to improve learning in their classroom.
Let me ask you about student feedback.
Student feedback. To be honest, many years ago when this all started, I was a bit hesitant around student feedback. I thought it could change the power dynamics within schools, within classrooms.
Yes.
Now I'm so convinced of its power and its importance that it's not funny, that the feedback I get from teachers is that it's some of the most valuable information they ever have in their yearly teaching.
Parent feedback.
Parent feedback, I think, has to complement all the others.
Yes.
You don't want any of these working by themselves. But I think parent feedback is particularly important in the early years of education, where you're not going to get feedback from students that's reliable. You're not going to get feedback from students in the early years of primary school about effective teaching.
If you had one message that you wanted to deliver about shifting our current appraisal and feedback systems to a higher level to achieve improved outcomes in student learning, what would your message be?
I'd like to see basically teachers and educators in each other's classrooms, because that is really valuable support for teachers to improve student learning. And I think that's a real difference from what I think the past has been focused on, which unfortunately has been a lot about administration and filling out forms, and really get into saying, how is this going to improve student learning? And that has to be in the classroom.
So therefore, whilst it's important to think about the individual teacher, you're arguing it's equally important to be thinking about collaboration, around working with your colleagues, around a professional learning community.
The fundamental change that the performance and development framework actually should be aiming at is about increasing collaboration. And too often, the reaction to appraisal is, well, we don't want to separate or divide teachers, we don't want it to be a competition. And I understand that's a natural reaction, but really this should be about improving collaboration.
Ben, thank you.